Hello, everyone. Good afternoon to everyone. I welcome you to
Good afternoon, ma. Good afternoon, ma.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Yes, ma.
Thank you.
Yes, ma. You're welcome, ma.
Yeah, you're welcome to today's class. I apologize for the lateness in starting the class. It was due to unforeseen circumstances. Let's see what we can achieve in the next 50 minutes, 45 minutes, thereabouts. For those of us that our video is off, please let's endeavor to activate our video. It's important. This is class, and it's good that I see those that I'm facilitating. All right, as we all know that this is the beginning of the semester, and I'm facilitating you. My name is Dr. Latif Adekweju, a lecturer in the Department of Nursing, and I'm pleased to facilitate your class. Also, I want to make it clear that as we interact together in the next 8 weeks or so, last week we were interacting, so in the next 8 weeks or so, let's endeavor to participate during the class session. And I also have made a video, instructional video for this course. I'll be posting it, as well as the interaction that we have now. The link will be on the student page. After the interaction, probably tomorrow or so, you check the student page and you'll find the link there. Then you can download it with the instructional video, as well as if you want to still listen to the class interaction, you could do so. And I'll also be asking questions along as we interact together, because this is not lecture, this is facilitation, and it is student-centered. And the more you engage, the more it tells me that you understand what we are discussing. And also you have the course material. In addition, I will still put it in the e-library on the page. So this afternoon, can someone remind us of the first, the title of the module, which is module 1 that we'll be considering? Someone in class should type on the chat the title that we are interacting together with. Historical development of occupational health. Yes, historical development of occupational health. And under this module, we'll be looking at 2 units. There is 2 units under it. You have, let me quickly share my slide on that. Yes, we'll be covering 2 modules under module 1. Yes. Yes. Module 1, historical development of occupational health, and unit 2 of module 1 is basic concepts in occupational health. These are the 2 topics that we will be interacting with this afternoon. And of course, for every topic that is being discussed, the teacher will have an expected learning outcome for students and for learners in this audience. What are the learning goals that is expected of us? So we have the following learning goals should be should be achieved by the student at the end of today's facilitation exercise. 1, students should be able to describe the historical development of occupational health. That is, after today's interaction, learners should be able to describe the historical development of occupational health in the ancient times. That is, in both in British as well as in America, also how it began in our home country, Nigeria, under Africa. Learners also should be able to explain the historical development of occupational health in Britain as well as in United States of America, of a developed country. Also describe historical development of occupational health in developing countries such as Nigeria. Also be able to describe the contribution made by International Labour Organization as well as World Health Organization in protection of health and safety of employees at work settings. Not only that, at the end of today's facilitation, learners should also be able to define occupational health, state 6 aims and objectives of occupational health, explain the rationale for establishing occupational health, and lastly, describe the effects of work and occupation on health. So we've seen the outline, the set of goals or objectives that learners are expected to achieve or to be able to defend or to be able to explain at the end of this week facilitation. So when we say occupational health, what do we understand by occupational health? Before we even go to the history, of occupational health, what do we understand by occupational health? What do we understand by occupational health? Let's put it on the charts. Let's share our thoughts on occupational health. Of course, I know that this is not the first time you are hearing about occupational health. And so for that reason, you should be able to share your thoughts, your idea on occupational health. So let's make the charts. Let's keep the answer flowing. You will check on the chart, then you put down your answer. And a quick one is, if you have any contribution, you want to say something, please do raise your electronic hand. If you are raising your physical hand, I may not be able to pick it immediately, but just raise your electronic hand and you will be recognized. So kindly take note of that. So occupational health. Occupational health deals with the study of health problems employees face in their work environment. That is just a simple definition of occupational health, where you attribute problems that is related to your work environment Whatever, yes, thank you. Kama Godwin Shuku, thank you for your response. Thank you, everyone. Yes, yes. It is the health problem that workers encounter while at work. And of course, we know that every work has its own hazard. Even as nurses, we understand that it's the nursing profession or the health profession generally has its own hazard. So when you are at work or any ailment or sickness or disease that is attributed to your work is simply known as occupational health. Excuse me. It's simply known as occupational health. And of course, in the era that has passed, we see that a lot of work are being done on mechanized farming and labor that men did. Their employers do not consider the health or the implication of work to the health of an individual. And as a result of that, history and research made us to understand that health of mothers, women generally, and children are deteriorating as a result of work. So because of this, women are dying, children are dying at a very early age. And this mortality rate or this death were attributed to the work, the nature of work that they do. And this warranted or prompted an International Labour Organization and WHO to look into occupation and health. And that is where they derive the name occupational health from, and where there has to be law stipulating or guiding or that has to protect the health of an individual or a person, whether male or female, so that after your service year, you don't return to your home useless or having to use the savings that you have accumulated during your working year on treating yourself. So far, that is an introduction to occupational health when it comes to the development of occupational health. We can't just but mention how it began from British country down to United States of America. When you go through the slide, the instructional video, you will see a detailed illustration about the era or the stages in which occupational health occupational health were developed until it gets to the phase that you and I are seeing today. And of course, part of the history is that a British colonial master who fell sick, and as a result of that, a law was passed that protects an individual from job hazard. All right, thank you for those of us that are sending the comment. Thank you very much. So we have seen the definition and a short background or a short history of the development of occupational health, both in the developed world and also in developing countries. So, any question before we go further? If you do have question, kindly type it on the chat or raise your electronic end and it will be addressed. So the next we want to look at, I'm going to share my slide, is the okay, we've briefly discussed historical background, then the development of occupational health in developing country. Now in context now, we want to bring it home. We understand that major occupation in developing country was mainly unmechanized agriculture. Yes, and I remember history that the men in the olden days, this is why some men married a lot of wives so that they can use them as tools in their farming work. So there is no machine that is cutting the field. There is no one that is transporting, no machine that is transporting the farm produce from the farm to the warehouse, nothing of such. As a result, the women does all this and the children. And it reminds me of one of the professor that I know very well, who also shared his experience that his own father was a farmer and he who followed his dad to the farm from morning till afternoon, even evening. And he had no hope of going to school because the man had seen that the instrument to be used or the resource person for his job is his children. Well, I would say praise God that the father died and the brother has to take him to school. But we can see the implication of unmechanized way or unmechanized farming, the implication on the, not only on the health of the person, even on the future of children. So it has a lot of implication. So let's continue on that. We understand that following the path already laid down by the industrialized colonial masters. Don't forget earlier on I mentioned that a colonial master who fell sick, a British who fell sick while on job, made the leaders to put into law a labor, to put into law policy that is protecting the individual that contracts or get affected while on job by a former colonial master. Yes. So, but what about in Nigeria? How does it begin? Of course, after the colonial master was healed and he was fine, the development of occupational health in Nigeria followed the pattern in other developing countries. Of course, we were not the first, and we also follow what has been in existence in other parts of the country. Originally, I've said that what we have is unmechanized agriculture and animal husbandry, where women have to do everything. The children and the men and the women largely were used. And the first occupational health service in Nigeria was introduced by the Medical Examination Board of Liverpool infirmary in 1789, just to care for the health of British slave dealers. Yes, also known as, he was a colonial master from Africa to Britain. And that brought the end of slave trade. That brought the end of slave trade in Nigeria. So we've seen that occupation and health are very much interrelated, because that is why now in the industry, it is a must. It is a must that when workers are operating certain things or working in a certain place, they must use certain protective gadgets, because the employers now know the implication of an employee getting injured. And we'll get to that part as we go on in this lesson, that now you will see the effect of occupational hazard on employer as well as on employee. Let me share the next slide on that. Yeah. What are the goals? Let's see the goal of occupational health. Of course, every policy that is being written has an objective, has an aim. So when the policy of occupational health was written or was enacted, what were the goals? We have one, to identify work hazards that occur in the workplace or work environment, to identify potential physical, chemical, biological, ergometric, and psychosocial stressors in a variety of work environments, to explain ways of protecting the working individuals from any health hazard in their work environment, also to provide health education and rehabilitation service for workers who have emotional, physical injuries as well as psychological injuries. So before we go into the rationale for occupational health, as I earlier mentioned, that the goal of occupational health policy is not only to protect the employee, but also to protect the employer. Okay, Aliu, I can see your electronic end. So let me, yes, you are recognized. Aliu Miriam. Yes, I've unmuted you. You can, let's add your contribution. Aliu Miriam. Okay, when you are ready to speak, let's hear you, or you send your comments on this chat. All right, let's continue. So as I was saying, that there is a goal, the goal or the objective for setting or enacting occupational health policy is both in the interest of the employer and the employee, because when an individual is also affected, there will be low productivity and outcome for the employee, for the employer, I mean, and the employee also, and for the employee also, will also suffer from whatever injury that is invited. I can see Aliu Miriam. I've unmuted you. So you can speak. You are unmuted. Speak. Okay, if you are ready, you can speak up. All right, as I was saying, what are also the rationale? So apart from aim and goals of occupational health, we also have the rationale. What is the brain behind, or the rationale for occupational health? And I want to share my slides on various rationale for occupational health. One, the establishment of occupational health are deduced from the sufferings of workers in the process of performing tasks in their respective occupation. That is one reason, one rationale, or one reason for occupational health policy, so that workers will stop suffering in the process of doing or earning and living. The next one is the increasing use of chemicals in industries and agricultural production create new hazards for workers. As a result, health problems of workers increase, yet occupational health hazard policy was not a priority still. Sad still, many employees deny the existence of health problems. So we see that because of the introduction of chemicals, both in industry as well as in the agricultural sector, is creating problems to the health of people. But thank God that we now have occupational health hazard has been seen to be a big issue. And also, lastly, is disabled workers will easily be replaced. You see, before, where there is no policy that is guiding the right of occupation, the right of employers, or the right of employees, I mean, where there is no law or no policy that is guiding an employee. So once an employee sustains an injury or is affected from job, what happens is that the person is laid off and they employ a new person, which is not good. How the person is living or is surviving is none of the business of the employee. All this is it's not good at all. So for that reason, there has to be policy that is protecting an individual, so that when you are on job or at work and you sustain certain injury, as we progress in this course, you will see the responsibility of your employer, as well as the roles that they should, the roles and responsibility of the employer. And of course, that does not mean that the employee should also be careless. And that is why in some industry, in some organization, there are certain things that you cannot do when you are operating a machine. And when you are working where there is chemical, it is a must for you to use your gadgets, your protective, your PPE, your personal protective equipment. It is very important. If there is no law, or if there is no reason why, if your employer do not understand the importance of occupational health, he won't care whether you are affected or not. But the understanding of occupational health, and people also understanding their rights, that it is their right to have this, it is their right to have that, is also reducing the incidence of occupational hazard in this 21st century. So what are the benefits of occupational health? We have a few benefits of occupational health that I've itemized, and permit me to share my screen to on that. Benefits of occupational health promotion. When you promote occupational health in your various field or in your various place of job, there will be reduction of loss and cost due to absenteeism as a result of illness and accident of workers. Of course, if an employee is absent from work, the cost or the output or the production of that organization also will be affected. So the next benefit is improvement of workers' health behavior due to relaxed atmosphere in the work setting. In the work setting, there will be improvement of workers' health and even their behaviors. So when we promote occupational health, consciously or unconsciously, you are building a positive attitude or behavior in people, which will lead to improve workers' health. Also, we have job satisfaction and moral satisfaction of your job. When an individual is in good health, when you are in good health, you are happy doing your job. But in a situation whereby you are having ill health and you have to go to work, and you knew that this ill health is as a result of the job. Okay, Chinebere, I saw your comment that the volume is low. Please, may I ask you check your volume, because you are the first person that is giving this complaint. My volume here is high. Please kindly check the volume of your system or your handset or whatever gadgets you are using. Thank you. So an individual, when we promote occupational health, there is behavior enhancement, there is job satisfaction to it, there is reduction in cost, and reduction in the loss, even in absenteeism of the worker. There is also moral or interpersonal relationship. There is also increased interpersonal relationship. Any questions so far from what we have covered? Okay. Okay, if there is no question, don't forget that class is still in session, and I crave your interaction, your contribution. you feel free to send your comments or your question on the chat, or you raise your electronic hand. I can see Esther. Esther, Esther, you're unmuted. Kindly, let's hear what Esther, I've unmuted you. Let's hear your thoughts. Adaka Esther. Okay. While she's putting. Okay. One of the students want us to go through the historical background again. Don't forget that this is 1 hour. I'm trying to compress that module as much as possible. So I would suggest that after this class, because we have 7 minutes to for the meeting to end, after the class, I'm going to post an instructional video as well as this lecture on the school page. So the instructional video will expatiate on it more. It may not be today, but before the end of the week, I will definitely post instructional video on this module. So you can go through it, and I hope it will enhance your understanding on this topic. So let's quickly see, I think, a few slides. Yes, I've talked about interpersonal and intrapersonal relationship, that one of the benefits of health occupational. Esther. Okay. All right. So lastly, in this class, we are going to look at the effects of work on health. Effect of work on health. The effect of work that we do on our health is a means of livelihood. We know that the work we do is a means of livelihood to us. It also contributes to life satisfaction and happiness. Not only that, it's a source of challenge for human growth and development. Some of us wouldn't have gone further in our academics or do one course or the other if we had not met a colleague at job places that would challenge us. So it also creates opportunity for socialization and companionship, and also encourage emotional and psychological satisfaction. And lastly, it reduces stress and promotes intra and interpersonal relationship. So in conclusion, as we bring today's class to a close, the overall aim of occupational health is to prevent and control occupational hazard that cause high morbidity and mortality among workers, and then to limit productivity. Thank you for listening. So we've come to the conclusion of today's class. And at this time, let me welcome our contribution. For those of us that want us to go again to historical background of occupational health, I promise I'm going to send an instructional video on the link. You will get it under a facilitation record, yes. So, is there any question? Is there any question? Okay, in the absence of any question, I want to appreciate us for making out time from our busy schedule to attend class. Thank you. I'll see you next week, same time, same day. God bless.
Thank you, ma.